What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm also going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a very important day as we have three big catalysts for the markets that will be affecting whether or not we continue this run or if we get some kind of big rug pull. But as of right now, technicals do look more bullish. And I'm going to break down exactly what could end up panning out. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or use my QR code right here to sign up. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000 or more, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvidia plus $100. If you deposit $10,000 or more to get $300 worth of Nvidia stock, you're also going to get a $100 cash reward. Or deposit $50,000 or more to get $1,000 of free Nvidia stock plus $100. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY non-invested cash, and the offer ends very soon. So please use my link down below to sign up. The offer ends in just 5 days. Anyways, as far as the market's going, we're back to being a lot more bullish. So one thing I just wanted to talk about was that we had this left shoulder, head, and right shoulder that was kind of like forming on spine. I give you guys a warning to see, are we about to see the head and shoulders pan out, or do we just invalidate this by breaking out thanks to CPI? And what happened was we ended up breaking the resistance. We broke out of the resistance. We broke past this rectangle that was acting as resistance for so many weeks. And now we are once again hitting new all-time highs. There is a big gap left around 672. So I would like to see us basically retrace to that to fill that gap first. And then once that gap fills, we could continue to rally for new all-time highs. Historically, November and December are known for being bullish months. So there's a good chance the market is going to be continuing to break out. But getting a small retracement could be another buying opportunity and completely healthy first. But whether we get some kind of retracement or not depends on some factors. Let's break down what the factors are. So we got CPI. CPI was basically aligned with expectations. Although we saw all items CPI go up a little bit, core CPI came down, which is a decent sign. And this is a good sign for next week because what you have to remember is that there's not really much coming out for Monday, just some bill auctions. For Tuesday, we have the Richmond Fed manufacturing numbers coming out, which could be somewhat significant. But then the big thing is going to be next Wednesday. On Wednesday, we have FOMC, we have the interest rate decision, and we have Jerome Powell giving a speech at the press conference. So we are expecting that the Fed's going to give us a 25 basis point cut. There's a 96.7% chance the Fed's going to cut by 25 basis points. So far, the market likes that, and we're going to see what kind of volatility we get as a result. So that's the first factor. It's going to be FOMC. The second factor is going to be big tech earnings. So Monday is going to be very quiet, but starting on Tuesday, okay, we have SoFi, PayPal, and UPS announcing their earnings. PayPal is going to be quite significant. Then we have very significant earnings starting on Wednesday and Thursday because we have Verizon and Boeing on the morning of Wednesday. And after market close, we have Meta, Alphabet, Microsoft, and many others. The three big tech earnings will be coming out on Wednesday, causing high volatility for the QQQ and SPY. And then Thursday, expect even more volatility as we have Amazon, Apple, and Coinbase also announcing their earnings. As you know, these multi-trillion-dollar companies can cause high volatility, having a ripple effect on the markets. So be ready for some high volatility thanks to this from Tuesday through Friday, I would say, because usually the day of and the day after we tend to get the volatility. So we're going to react to a lot of earnings. Then even when Amazon and Apple have their earnings on Thursday after close, we're going to see the reaction on Friday. So there's going to be a lot of volatility. And last but not least, there's big news coming out. President Trump has agreed to meet up with Xi Jinping on October 30th, according to the White House. This is some huge news. President Trump said that he wants to impose a 100% tariff on China, and he said it may be as high as 155% unless they make a deal. But then President Trump just said that we're going to make a deal on everything and big agreements are going to come, and it's going to be good for both sides. President Trump also said the high tariffs are not sustainable and that they're going to be negotiating some deals. So this is going to be very, very big news because the US and China are the two biggest economies in the world. Having our leaders meet up to negotiate trade is going to have a big effect on the stock market. If things don't go well, don't forget President Trump is threatening very high tariffs on China. So we'll see what happens. Will this cause a rug pull or does the market get a big bounce? I think there's a good chance that it's going to be okay, because typically when there's a lot of fear that comes up front, it's typically going to be followed by a calmness that comes out, something that kind of alleviates a situation. So in this case, President Trump is telling us that there's going to be a big deal coming with China. Things are going to be okay. He told us to remain calm before. So hopefully we get a good deal and things are going to be all right, and we'll see what happens as time goes on. So keep that in mind. That's what we're going to be watching for. Lots of news coming out for the week. President Trump meets up with Xi Jinping, big tech earnings, and FOMC all on the same week. It's going to be very, very crazy. Now, we have invalidated the head and shoulders on SPY, ES, NQ, the QQQ, and many other tickers, and now we're looking very bullish. Also, I want to add on that we're going to likely continue to rally for all-time highs. I think SPY is going to be going for $700 by the end of the year, and we might come down a little bit. We still have this gap to fill down here. I would like to see us fill the gap first, but November and December are known for being more bullish months. So, we're approaching the end of October. Maybe this big downside move we got when President Trump announced the Chinese tariffs, maybe that is the bottom. I don't know for sure, but there's a very high probability that is it. And then we're going to start to uptrend from here on out. Now, we could see another dip to fill this gap. And even if worst case comes and we do end up dipping against like 650, it's just another buying opportunity, because like I said before, I do expect us to see the 700s by year end on SPY. I think we're going to see a monstrous rally. But I would like to see us fill this gap first, and then maybe we'll have to see what happens with FOMC, President Trump's meeting, and such. If all of that goes well, we could be getting ready for a big uptrend, and then we could continue to just slowly uptrend for basically new all-time highs heading into November and December. And once again, my target is 700 plus on SPY by year end. On the QQQ, the same thing's essentially going on. Now, I would like to see us also come down to fill this gap first before we continue to rally, but now we're on a very, very big uptrend. Now, in case we do get a big dump, let's just say something bad happens with FOMC or whatever happens. If we get another big sell-off like this, it's another buying opportunity, because, like I said before, we could easily continue to rally heading into year end. And I think this is going to continue to break out to new all-time highs. Every time we're dipping, we just get bought back up. So the trend is now bullish, and we have also invalidated the head and shoulders, right? We had this left shoulder, head and right shoulder that's been invalidated. Now the market is leaning more bullish. Could we dip a bit? Yes, we could come back down to fill this gap, and that's going to be another buying opportunity for a big end of the year rally. On the IWM, we still have this gap down here to fill. We have not fully filled this gap, but I'm not sure if we come all the way down to fill the gap now. We could retrace off this resistance from 252 back down to 245, but then I would not be surprised if we continue to rally from there on out. On ES, we could be dipping. We're going to be watching basically 6,800, and then 6,780s are supports. And then we're going to see if we continue to bounce from here to see a massive, massive rally. For now, we're still holding up quite well. There's a good chance we try to continue to uptrend. But look for a retracement to the low 6,800s, if not 6,780. Then we're going to be looking to see another bounce as time goes on. On NQ, we could also retest 25,400 and 25,164. Then we'll see if we bounce or not. So keep that in mind. On Bitcoin, we have a nice looking inverse head and shoulders double bottom. I also want to see if we could break past 113,000 to break out higher, so give this the time it needs. Overall, it's holding up well. Tesla, on the other hand, is just range bound right now. We're basically just trading sideways. As we hit 450, we like to reject. As we hit 415, we like to bounce. Could dip a bit more for like 425 that we're looking for a bounce again, but ultimately, I want to see if this is like an inverse head and shoulders, if Tesla's going to try to bounce again. As long as we hold 420, this could just continue to consolidate before it tries to break out higher. But if we lose 420, keep in mind we still have that gap at 397 that could still get filled. But even if we come down to fill the gap, we could still run towards year end. So just keep that in mind. On Nvda, we're looking more bullish. We're favoring 188 for some temporary upside. Apple's on a nice uptrend. As long as we don't lose 260, we're going to be favoring 262.5 to be retested, and a bounce for 265 plus. A few more tickers. We have AMD looking more bullish as long as we don't lose 239. We're favoring 260 for more upside. On Palantir, we're looking more bullish. We have a nice accumulation right here. There is resistance around 186 and support at 180. Could retest 180 before it tries to bounce. A couple more tickers. We have Coinbase looking more bullish. Nice double bottom. As long as you don't lose 241, we could continue to up 341. As long as 341 does not fail us, we're looking for an attempt for 362. Amazon looks decent, might retest 222, but then we have earnings coming out which will affect this. This looks like an inverse head and shoulders accumulation, so it might dip before it tries to break out for 228. Meta is also looking quite decent right now. One thing worth mentioning about Meta is that we saw a bit of a rejection, but now we're getting bought back up near our 20 EMA. So this also has a triple bottom looking bullish. So long as we don't do 727, we might consolidate and slowly push for 750. Google's also looking more bullish in my eyes. We're getting bought up very, very nicely, and we are favoring an attempt to push for 262.5. So there's a good chance it tries to go a little bit higher. I think there's a good chance that's going to reaccumulate as well. So just keep that in mind. Could continue to rally for 265 plus. There's a good chance Google tries to go higher. Microsoft also has a nice accumulation. As long as we don't do 519, we're going to be favoring 527. More upside looks very, very likely. The VIX is also on a bit of a downtrend. We've been dipping on the VIX so far, but we're going to see if this is like a falling wedge on the VIX or not. Are we about to see the VIX continue to break out of it, or does it continue to downtrend? So we'll see how it goes. But overall, I just want to say the market is still bullish overall. We could come down a bit. Maybe the VIX does bounce a bit next week. Maybe the market pulls back just a little bit to fill our gaps. But then overall, we are still likely going to be favoring a big squeeze for November and December as the market looks more bullish. Also, no, we have three big catalysts. We have FOMC, President Trump's meeting with Xi Jinping on October 30th, and also FOMC alongside big tech earnings. All these big catalysts will be causing some high volatility, so be ready for that. I would like us to basically kind of like pump and dump and maybe come back down to fill this gap before we continue to rally and see new all-time highs. And we could be getting ready for a big rally for the end of the year. All right, so the head and shoulders have been invalidated on SPY and the QQQ. And now that we've done this, I would like a small retracement to get back to that gap fill, but then we should continue to rally as time goes on. I would say in November and December, we're still going to be very bullish, and new all-time highs are yet to come. So keep that in mind, guys. The market is still very strong. The bulls have a bigger edge, and we're going to likely continue this trend. Thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.